So as we begin week number 16 in Project 70, we now have a new most valuable first artist card, and is Bo Jackson going in the right or wrong direction? Now my money is going to be on that Ohtani being the most valuable first artist card. You just want to touch them because the detail of the wristband, the effect of them is very, very strong. Unfortunately, they're just a shiny card. There's no feel to it. So thank you to everyone who participated in Friday night's episode of that Jacob deGrom by Mims Bands. I just saw the print run about 30 minutes ago, so I will be announcing or revealing the winner in the comments by this time tomorrow night. But thank you again for the continued participation of the Project 70 free card giveaway. But welcome to episode number 41 of the Project 70 show. My name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram is at CRT_sportscards. And my website, crtsportscards.com, is your number one resource for everything related to Project 70. And of course, on Sunday, new pricing came out. And if you have not heard, there is a new most valuable first artist card. And that is here, no surprise, it is the Shohei Ohtani by Tyson Beck. Finally, after many, many weeks of getting very close, it is dethroned the Acuna by Alex Pardee by nearly $20. So as of Sunday morning, that Ohtani by Tyson Beck clocks in at an average value of over $80, $83 to be exact. So if you did not buy your copy on release day and you want one now, it's going to cost you about 4 Project 70 cards. And that Acuna still holding strong. Look, $67. That card has been very, very static over the past 3 weeks. That Ohtani has been right below it, but all of a sudden it spiked up. And you're going to ask the question, why the spike all of a sudden from 63 now all the way up to 83? A couple of things here. Number one, of course, the on-field performance of Ohtani cannot be ignored. There is a lot of demand right now for his cards. What he is doing on the mound and at the batter's box has never been seen before, or if it has, it's been maybe 100 years since we've seen that happen. But also, too, just think of the print run difference. 3.2K versus 14.8K. There, for every one Ohtani Tyson Beck card, there are 4.6 Acunas by Alex Pardee. So inventory is going to be limited, even though there are 3.2 thousand cards out there of that Ohtani. That still is a very, very limited number. We will see what happens with this number in the next few weeks. We will see if the Acuna can get back over there and to see if that card can get to $100. But right now, that Ohtani is leading the way at $83. But also, if you wanted to save a few dollars on that Ohtani, you can, as of this video right now, jump over to Tyson Beck's website. He's selling them himself for $67. So the trick there is, of course, shipping is going to be a little bit slower coming from Australia, but it will save you a couple dollars because it's under the average eBay price and there is no sales tax. So if you want, check out Tyson Beck's website. And so while it is very easy to gloss over maybe some of the negative when you have card selling for $80 and nearly $70, I do also have to present the other side of the coin, which is how many cards last week from an average value perspective sold under $15 on average, and that number came in at 13. And when you factor in cards at $15 average value, let's just call it 16 cards in total sold for $15 or less last week. So just because a couple of cards have done very well here recently doesn't mean the entire set or all of the first artist cards are doing very well. So if you're looking at this set from an investment perspective, just still be very, very careful. I would use the golden rule number one. Buy what you like. Don't buy what you think others are going to like in the near future. This set is going to be too large. There's going to be too many different options. It's going to be very hard, I think, for collectors from a retail perspective to zero in on maybe more than a couple of cards to make them very, very valuable. So stick with what you like. And look, if a card that you bought a lot of, 5, 6, end up going up in value, great. But I would not go into the next few months of Project 70 with any sort of investment perspective because the set is just too darn large. And also for transparency here, I do not own a single Tyson Beck, Ohtani, or Acuna by Alex Pardee. So I hope these cards go up as fast as they can to a couple $100 because they are two fantastic looking cards. And also don't forget, all of those secondary prices for the first artist cards and their foil counterparts are on my website right now, so check them out if you've not at this moment. And also while you're on the website, check out the checklist from last week. We did get the last 12 runs this morning from Topps, and there was one good thing, it may be one negative thing, maybe one opportunity, one thing to think about as we go forward over the next few months. And so that one positive thing was the fact that over a holiday weekend, with eyes distracted, everybody doing very, very different things over the past couple of days, was the fact that every single card from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday all sold over 1,000 copies. That doesn't mean the set is going to be an ultimate success at the end of the day, but considering how frequently we were seeing numbers fall under 1,000 like this earlier in the week and last week, to have all of these cards finish over 1,000 was a very, very good sign. Although the highest print run was that Griffey by Michael B, just over 2.5. So no number really kind of blew out of the water. All were kind of lower in the thousands. But the print run number right now that's giving me the most caution and the idea that we should not put all of our eggs into one player basket is 2,193. That is the print run from the Bo Jackson by Keith Shore. And I will go back to something I said on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, and I posed it more of a question around Bo Jackson. I said, is the demand for Bo Jackson real or is it manufactured? And I say that because I do not believe right now that a majority of sports card buyers are of people who actually got to see Bo Jackson play. Even for someone like myself, who will be 40 years old in a couple of years, I have vague recollections of Bo Jackson playing. I had his Game Boy game. I remember him playing, but I don't remember one on the field event. I've seen videos of Bo Jackson, and I will tell you, he was an amazing athlete that was cut short his career by injuries. We could only imagine what kind of career he would have had he not been injury prone. But for a vast majority of buyers of sports cards right now, they don't have a clue who Bo Jackson is. They never saw him play, and he's just a blip on the radar. And that is why I ask this question: is Bo Jackson your father's music? And when I say that, you're gonna understand what I mean. Your father had artists that they really, really liked growing up. They would just tell you about all the time and make you listen to their music, and you just never got it. You never liked it. You found your own style. You found your own artists you liked. And so for many of us, I don't have children myself, but I can imagine if I had a 10 or 12-year-old right now, I would tell them the stories about Bo Jackson. But for them, it doesn't resonate. So I'm sorry to say right now, in my opinion, Bo Jackson, even though Topps, it appears, went to great lengths to obtain permission to use his likeness, is not going to save Project 70. But you know what could save Project 70? Mike Trout. If there is not a single Mike Trout card released this week in the set, it will be over 100 cards since we last saw Mike Trout. I don't know how he let that happen. We should see more current players. It does kind of feel that maybe the older retired players are kind of losing their steam right now in the set. Let's start to see some young and fresh new players in the set, and let's drive that new, young, enthusiastic fan back to Project 70. But now this week we did get one new fresh face to the set, but unfortunately it is of a retired player, and so far 8 cards into the week, there are 6 old retired players and 2 current players. But what right now is the most controversial card after 2 days? It has to be the Paul O'Neill by Action Bronson. And you know that I am collecting Action Bronson, and you know that I'm collecting 1971 Topps. And I'm not going to sell you on why this card is cool. I'm going to talk about what I learned about this card. But let's start out with, why is Paul O'Neill laser focused on the umpire? Why is his hand up in the air about to maybe slap the umpire? And also, why is there a random hand on his arm? And so I started with a Google search. I simply Googled Paul O'Neill, and then I used umpires. And sure enough, I learned that Paul O'Neill in his career loved to argue with umpires. And if you're in the Facebook group, I shared the video I watched a couple of times in different comments, but it was a real educational moment for me to learn about Paul O'Neill, because I don't really have much recollection of Paul O'Neill the player, because he's a Yankee. I didn't watch many Yankee games as a kid growing up. But also the other aspects of the card. Why is there that random hand on his arm? To me, it seems like that is a player, a manager, pulling him away, saying, look, Paul, it's not worth it. Stop arguing. Get to first. Get back to the dugout. do not get yourself ejected, because if you get your laser focus on the umpire, you're going to get ejected and you're going to hurt this team. So look, you may hate this card, you may think it's terrible. I respect your opinion, but understand that we can all learn something from these cards. And I learned from this card that Paul O'Neill loved to argue with umpires throughout his entire career. And so, as they say, a Yankee a day will keep the doctor away. And so if you wanted to see another Yankee card get released this week, we have Crayola with his Reggie Jackson. And this time, there is a battle going on. You have Reggie Jackson falling over at the plate. You also have the animals, the creatures on the card fighting. And so the octopus creature has been a consistent on every single card so far of Crayola's. But now we have the maybe enemy blue monster, or did the octopus knock down Reggie Jackson? To me, it seems like the blue monster came in there and knocked over Reggie. The octopus is mad that this happened. He let down his defenses. Look, you could play with this card all you want. You could talk about it for a very long time. It's as simple as this. If you like Crayola, you're going to like the direction of his set. If you're not collecting Crayola, you're going to find this card completely ridiculous. But for me, as a collector of Crayola, I like it, and I hope to see more of this from Crayola in the coming weeks. And so while we're on the thread of cards that I really, really like so far this week in Project 70, I'm going to spill the personal beans here a little bit and say I'm on Team Cat. I am not on Team Dog. And so with Matt Taylor releasing his Cody Bellinger, even though I am kind of tired out of Cody Bellinger cards, I am not a collector of Matt Taylor's cards. You put a cat on a card, especially the one as famous as this one from Coors Field when they were playing the Rockies, it's a win in my book. Yes, there is absolutely no connection to Cody Bellinger and the cat other than that one game, but it's still cool to see artists have some real true freedom with these cards and put on the card what they want, because if they didn't, we wouldn't have Crayola with his two monsters, and we would not have Matt Taylor with his cat. And so while I'm pretty certain all three of those cards are going to sell over 1,000 copies, keeping that streak alive at the moment, this next card I think could be in the running for one of the, if not the lowest selling card in Project 70. And that is, of course, going to be Don C with his Pedro Martinez. And look, I have never seen Napoleon Dynamite. I understand the reference, vote for Pedro here. I get where it's coming from. This reference from a Don C perspective still feels kind of maybe too easy, kind of like he mailed it in. And of course, Don C here is very, very late to the game. His cards are always kind of behind everyone else's from a release schedule perspective. He may end up with 2 cards releasing in the last couple of days in the set, but for a pitcher that was dominant in his career, I wish we'd had a little bit of a better card here, something more along the lines of what Distorted released with Pedro. But this card I could see easily selling under 1,000. But what is not going to sell under 1,000 this week is going to be Toei Tokyo's Shohei Ohtani. For the reasons I spoke about earlier, the recent success of Tyson Beck's Ohtani along with Ohtani's success on the diamond is going to keep this number high. The question right now is, will it top 3,000? Will it get over kind of that current day vaulted number? Selling over 3,000 right now is a lot of cards. This card, from a visual perspective, fits in with Toei Tokyo's releases. It doesn't really hold much water versus the Quicks Ohtani and the Beck Ohtani. The Quicks one, of course, is my favorite at this moment, but it is going to sell quite well. The question, though, is will it get over 3,000 copies? And so while we're on the topic of Quicks, we might as well go and cover his 5th release in the set. It is no one else other than Big Papi, David Ortiz. It is great to see David Ortiz have a couple of cards here release quickly in the set, because he is a player that was sorely missed from the very beginning of Project 70. And I tried multiple times to say the character's name who is behind Big Papi, but I tried multiple times and it just didn't come out right. So I'm going to reference you to Quick's Instagram post. He talks about the figure behind him, who is basically the Big Papi of that universe. And so another card here where Quicks blends his own created universe with the real universe of MLB baseball. And so while Quicks is out there on Instagram talking about his releases, explaining the details behind it, an artist here released a card and, surprising to me, did not post anything about it on social media. And this is an artist who has over 1 million followers on Instagram, and that is Sean Weatherspoon with his Hank Aaron. I was very, very surprised to not get a single post about this card from him. I checked his stories, I checked his feed right now, nothing. So I don't know why there isn't a post about it. I understand his Project 70 posts from a like perspective pale in comparison to his other posts, so maybe for the algorithm of Instagram, they're not the best for his page, but I was surprised to see an artist release a card and not even talk about it. So that leaves us with just one card left to talk about, and this is a card, when you look at it, you may see 4 to 5, maybe even 6 different cards, but here it is, another entrance into the Error Terror set from Bobby Hundreds. We get Nolan Ryan. We get Nolan Ryan as an Astro. We get Nolan Ryan as an Angel. We get Nolan Ryan as a veteran. We get Nolan Ryan as a rookie. There is a lot of things going on with this card. I also wonder if Nolan Ryan is there as a Ranger. We just don't see it yet. So when you look at this card, my question to you is, how many different cards are there? I don't have an answer to that question yet, but I'm curious. How many cards are on this card right now for Nolan Ryan? And so just like last Friday, let's get back to our winning ways again. Let's give away another free card away. And here is how you qualify for this promotion. Number one, you must be subscribed to the channel. So if you're watching this and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Number two, you must put a print run guess in the YouTube comments below, but you cannot go over the actual print run. And so the card I am giving away for free is going to be that Quicks Big Poppy. So best of luck on this contest. Get your print run guess in before the buying window ends on the Topps.com website. With that, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back on Friday night for episode number 42, the Jackie Robinson episode of the Project 70 show.